Hi everybody. No introduction tonight. Just straight live streaming. Live and uncut. Oh, man. That's so loud. It's driving me crazy. Wow. It's an ambulance. Yeah, I'm up here on the roof and a little sweaty, but that's okay. Alright, how's everyone doing? I haven't been on much lately. Oh, I'm going to move this pillow down because it also works as a, I should have done this earlier, it works as a lumbar support, and that's where I need it. Oh. So tonight's title is, we're up on the roof, the Queen of the Night. And of course, my favorite, the moon. Not that. That up there. The bottom light is my roof light. Dean, how you doing? Fist bump to you. All right. I'm using my external light. And hi, Betty. How are you? Fist bump to you. Nice to have you on Twitch. All right. Broadcasting on Twitch too. Now, it doesn't. Is it? It shows that I'm on Twitter Live. Is that true? Am I on Twitter Live / Periscope? Yeah, it's apparently says that I am. So I got a little sweat here, but don't worry about it. I got a nice filter on here, and this light that I bought came with a bunch of different filters, and you can even mix and match them. And this is a beautiful green filter. If I put it on top, I got an orange filter. If I put it on top of the orange filter, I mean, look at that. That's pretty interesting. Of course, if I turn the light out completely, then it gets really dark. But kind of like sort of a half-half. Maybe I should put the green filter in on top of the orange. I kind of like the orange. We can play with it. So what's going on with you guys? Listen, I miss talking with you and miss live streaming, but I have been just kind of out of sorts, you know. And see, I'm tired. When do live streaming on a regular basis, and I don't do this, for a living. I never intended to do it for a living, and it sometimes gets me gigs, and work, but that's not really why I do it. So I have been trying to work on the studio. Now I've upgraded, I talked about this before, I upgraded my PC, upgraded my Dante network, I got some new studio monitors. I'm going to have to get a new furniture solution. I've been looking at designs, and there's a company that I'm going to approach about doing a prototype for me, and maybe even doing a new product line for my company, but we'll see. All this takes time. And in the middle of it all, I still have to drive, my wife everywhere, to the bank and, everywhere. So it's hard to fit things in. So anyway, I'm up on the roof. It's actually a beautiful night. It's about, I'm going to say it's about 27. Oh, I'm yawning because I'm so far behind on sleep. Yeah, but see, I'm relaxed up here. I wasn't yawning before. It's so funny. I pressed the go button and I'm yawning. But this roof is so nice, and we got a nice breeze. Of course, you can hear the traffic. It's in stereo. And behind me, you can see, the rest of the neighborhood. And yeah, big roads out that way. I think I'll just leave it like this. So what's been going on with you guys? I laid down the thumbnails for a new tune today. One of the best tunes I think I've ever written. And it's going to be really interesting to see how it's received, given the lyrics. Let's just say it's relevant. Let me show you a little bit about what we did this week, though. I went to a Japanese restaurant and got this Japanese set meal, and lost me on YouTube. Hey Mike, how you doing? Fist bump to you. That's strange, because well, Dean's on YouTube, Mike's on YouTube. It still shows that I'm there, but I mean, who knows? Anyways, Japanese set meal. That's a pork cutlet on the left with some chopped, what's it called? Cabbage, yeah. And of course, up on the top is some meat that you grill. And if you look here, there's a little grill up in the middle. I am on Twitter Live, according to Dave. Thank you, Dave, and fist bump to you. Yeah, Dave's actually the one that told me that Twitter Live was working, so that is so cool. But here's the thing. I went to a Taiwanese restaurant, and I actually got a chili cheesesteak. Yeah, I mean, like a Philly cheesesteak. And I didn't want the French fries, so they gave me some really good scrambled eggs. I thought that was nice. So like, are we gone? Are we dead on YouTube? Is that it? No more YouTube? Wow. Well, I can always do an upload later, I guess, but that's just strange. So, fist bumps to everybody that I might have missed. It shows I've got viewers on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter Live, but I don't think the numbers are right. So I took Phoenix to the park. We had a big holiday on Tuesday. We had Monday and Tuesday off. It was the what are you talking about? Chatting on YouTube, watching on Twitter. So what you're telling me is the signal is no good on YouTube? And what do you mean chat room access for you Asians? I don't know. Anybody else have that problem? I assume that there's a Twitter Live, but that doesn't work. People are telling me that the new Twitter Live chat doesn't work yet. Don't get me started. I really didn't want to talk about this. Talking about live streaming platforms sometimes is very depressing to me, because so many bad decisions have been made by companies, and it's like they've got, other people's money to burn, and they just don't care, so they do stupid stuff. Anyway, we had the Mid-Autumn Festival, and everybody grills on Tuesday, and I got to tell you, I didn't see a single person in my neighborhood grilling, which is so weird, because last year and every year, prior to that, it was just crazy. But I think, we had the big outbreak in May, and had a couple of restrictions. I think it was just too much trouble for people to try to manage the restrictions. So I think they just didn't do it. This thing is, if you're outside, you gotta have a mask on. Of course, I'm on the roof of my house, so I don't have to have a mask on up here on the roof of my house. But anyway, what I did was I took Phoenix to this park, and they've got this really interesting, like, jungle gym, and I've never seen one of these before. I'm sure they're popular elsewhere. But it's made out of nylon twisted ski rope, and it's all crimped, and she climbs on it. So this is what it looks like. and she loves bouncing on that thing. And so this was that was the picture I used for the thumbnail, and this thing is really cool. So I was playing around with a gimbal and just taking some pictures of her on that. So that's what we did. This is a picture that I showed the other day. That's one from Coco, and it's just so remarkable. She saw the SpaceX rocket launch. All right, so in the back behind me, they're doing their usual thing. It was fun, and she loved it. She didn't want to go, but it was like ridiculously hot. So Mommy said, now you better go. And we had those little neck bands. Remember I was showing you the neck bands a couple of weeks ago? Straight up on, my face. It's pretty cool. It hangs around your neck, and it's got a big blade in the front. It's a squirrel cage. It sucks the air in this way and blows it up. So I did a couple of shorts, but I don't want to show them because they're like 1 second and 2 seconds long. I'll put them on YouTube, but it's kind of a pain in the neck to, just for a 1 second video. So, all right. Yeah, got an MS Surface. Okay, Microsoft Surface. Yep. And concerning USB-C data transfer to an older Surface with USB-B. Well, the thing about USB-C is that, if you were normally to plug a USB-B from one machine into another, it would blow it to smithereens. And so the USB-C is a universal connector. There's no polarity. You can plug it in any way that you want to. And so the one thing about USB-C is that it is it's a very safe connector to use. So even though one Surface Pro is connected, and you're talking about, I presume you're talking about a USB-A, the flat one. I've actually never seen a USB-B to C, but if you've got a regular, USB-C cable that's got an A on one end and a C on the other, it's safe to plug that in to whatever will fit, and you don't have to worry about blowing it up, because it's what I do with my phone, and my Surface Pro 7 has a USB-C and an A, and I plugged my phone in C to C, and that works too. And my new computer has a USB-C on it, and I did plug a USB-A cable into my old computer and plugged it into the new computer on USB-C to see if it would open up, File Explorer, and it didn't. It didn't recognize it. That's probably going to be the only problem. But it may work because, like I said, it works with my phone. If I plug my USB-C cable into the phone and the A cable into the Surface Pro, it likes it. So, but you don't have to worry about it blowing up. The only thing that'll happen is it'll either work or it won't work. All kinds of file sharing, all kinds of file sharing apps using Wi-Fi. That's probably about the fastest way. My new computer came with a really interesting USB 3 port. I got to look up and see what it is. USB 3 ports are blue. This one's red. This is like some higher super spec, super high speed USB-C 3 port. It's a USB-A style, but it's a USB 3 protocol. So, yeah. Well, they're fading out. They're getting phased out. I mean, well, just think about how long it's been since portable computers have had disk drives. Nobody's selling software on CDs or DVDs anymore, right? And I have my old computer that I use DVDs on, you know, but my new computer, I didn't even consider an optical drive at all. So yeah, I mean, these things come and go, you know, just like floppy disks. Yeah. Everything I got that I want to play, you know, for music has been ripped. I have a couple of DVDs that I bought a long time ago, and my DP32, which is a digital Porta Studio from Tascam. That's the original one with MIDI and with a CD player. So I popped it in, and I was able to rip the all the songs off and save it on the SD card and then transfer it over USB. So the cool thing about that is, even though CDs are 16-bit, 44.1 kilohertz, I was able to use, to save it in a lossless WAV file, or WAV, however you want to pronounce it, WAV. Vinyl, yep, I don't even own any vinyl. But vinyl's big. I wasn't going to show you this, but you know something? All right, let me do this. This will only take a second. I just got to find this. A little over a week ago, I was in the mall, and here's what I found. This is going to be kind of hard to see. I got to flip this like this. This is a 1974 boxed set edition of, it's 4 discs of some shows that Queen did in 1974, some really iconic shows. Just threw away tons of data CDs. I know what you mean, because I had a bunch of them too. And then this really surprised me. This is a huge box set of Creedence. Now this is in Taiwan, man. This is at Big City Mall. They had this big box set of Creedence Clearwater Revival. And let me see if I can see what the price on that was. What was the price on that thing? What does it say? It's over here, right? What does that say? It says 7,095 NT. So let me see. So that's well, that's over 150 bucks. No, it's more than that. It's over 200 bucks. So yeah, there you go. And a couple places I saw, yeah man, a couple places I saw had some Audio-Technica turntables and some other ones that were really huge. I also saw, which was very cool, a really retro looking turntable, you know, in a box with a clip on it like a portable, and you open it up. And it was a very, very high-tech turntable, but it looked vintage, so. Yeah, well, wow. See, the thing is, I was never a collector. I never lived in a place long enough. And you know, everything I have now in Taiwan is stuff that I acquired here. The only thing, let me tell you, I can tell you, except for a couple items of clothes that have survived that long, like a couple shirts, the only things that I have in Taiwan that I brought with me are a small little camping cancel lantern, my 3 Dutch ovens, and my 1964 Epiphone Melody Maker guitar, and that's it. Now my sister, her husband has probably the biggest record collection I've ever seen. He's got like all the original, like first issue Beatles records and a lot of stuff. I mean, you go to his house and he throws on, you know, Badfinger and stuff like that. So, hey Ken Rod, fist bump to you. He throws on Badfinger and all this, you know, cool vintage stuff and stuff that I never heard or haven't heard for a long time. So, and my friend John Beeler, who's now a professor of history at the University of Alabama at Tuscaloosa, when I was younger in high school, he already had a huge record collection. Of course, he came from a family, you know, that wasn't divorced and had a family house and lived in it, you know, and could have stuff. So, yeah, I just couldn't do it. I mean, my father bought me a, I think you'd call it a 27 gauge Lionel train set with the sawmill and the security car with the rotating searchlight and the giraffe that stuck his head out of the car and would go down under the trestle. And I mean, when we moved to Florida, didn't have room to take it. These things are worth thousands now. I mean, so it's a story of my life. So never really collected much of anything. I just collected people, you know. Had a pretty interesting phone book full of people. I got really mad one day because I had a Nokia phone and I left it somewhere. And back in those days, the phones, they didn't really lock, you know, like they do now. And it had Jack Nicholson's phone number in it, and I just hope that, yeah, that didn't get anybody into trouble. Well, anyway, so. Why is it never attainable? I mean, I know what you mean. I know what you mean that it's hard to achieve, but there are lots of there's lots of bad advice, but there is some good advice. There's a couple of guys that know what they're talking about, and they always tell you to start with the room bare and put your monitors, your speakers on stands, and they don't mean like telescoping stands. I mean like stands made out of like cement or hollow, that, you know, metal, and you fill them with sand. I mean, one of the best speaker stands you can have is a stack of bricks, you know, because it doesn't move and it's not going to resonate. And so you find the position that they sound the best in the room with no treatment. And then, you know, you mark it, and then you start the treatment. And bass traps in the corners and in the back. And a little deadening on the sides, and maybe a cloud, you know, overhead. But, yeah. It is attainable, and it's not that expensive. It's harder to do, you know, once you're all moved in. You've got a den and people are living there, and you got the TV on the wall and everything, and so it's kind of like, okay, there's already, you know, brown paneling from 1973, and I got this, you know, shag carpet the next year, and so. But if you've ever been in a mastering room, or you've ever been in a really, really well-designed studio, it's unbelievable, because John Stork was one of the early famous designers and he had the concept of in the studio as opposed to control room. The studio had what they called live end, dead end, so we called that in, you know, LEDE. So half the room was live and half the room was dead, and you could just move the instruments and the mics where you wanted according to what kind of ambience that you want. So you put the drums in the live end, and you put the singer in the dead end. It's pretty interesting. But the control room back in those days, John Stork's first live end dead end room was Lou Balanase's studio in Long Island. I recorded there in 1981. Billy Joel used to hang out there a lot, and the Shondells, without Tommy James, they recorded there a lot of stuff. So Dave Dassinger did our record for us, and he's a really good producer, really good engineer. And the room was what they called a TEF room, time, energy, frequency aligned room. John Stork had built it that way. And every single morning before the session started, the tech came through and did a run-through on all of the equipment. The 2 tracks and the 24 tracks, and it made sure that everything is completely transparent. And there'd always be a note: this machine is absolutely transparent. It's pretty amazing. Analog tape. But one of the most amazing things about that TEF room, that's the first time I ever was in that kind of a studio, was that, they had I'm pretty sure it was a sound workshop console. Those consoles, it's 2 miles long. You guys seen the console downstairs in my studio? It's probably 3 times as long as that, at least twice as long as that. And no matter where you sat in front of the whole length of the console, the stereo image moved with you. Because usually if you move towards one speaker, or the other, it gets louder, right? It gets louder, it gets softer over there, louder over here, And so it's like you're always trying to put your head in the center of the mix. And we used to joke a lot of times, because usually the recording engineer sits on the left and the producer sits on the right at the desk, and so you can tell who's who by the bump on their head, because they go when they try to meet in the middle. I could sit on one side of the desk, and Dave could sit on the other side of the mixing desk, and we'd hear the exact same mix, even though we're an arm's length away. That's really weird. It's bizarre, and we would test that, because you got your chairs, and they have wheels on them, and so we're going like this, and we're going hand over hand down the console, back and forth, and we're just listening, and oh my goodness, the stereo image is going wherever we are. Pretty amazing. So I struggle with imaging in my studio, because it's the same old thing. It's about room treatment, and I have some level of room treatment, but I haven't actually paid somebody like $100,000 to design the whole thing and build it. So still, that's something for the future that I want to do. Stereo left and stereo right is a great topic, yeah. But there's also something else. There's center channel. There's LCR. Left, center, right. So, oh man. That must have been cool. Did you get a chance to check that out? Did you get a chance to play with it and, hear the stereo imaging and things? Because, I still love it, when I was single. Of course, this is like a long time ago. The whole thing's different, but I'd meet a nice lady, and she'd say, "Do you have a good stereo?" Hold my beer. Yeah, we got a 24-track stereo in a control room, so. But, all my friends who knew me, they, even, mostly the ones that weren't musicians, they know pretty much when I would be working, and sometimes they would just drop by and say, oh, I see. Well, that's too bad. Well, you're welcome to, visit Taiwan and see what we got, and turn all the knobs you want in the consoles. That's how you learn, how things work, and I got to break it. You don't break things by using them normally. You know, hit them with a hammer, yeah, but just by turning knobs, you just, you know. Anyway. So my friends would, all of a sudden I'd be in the studio and I hear ding dong, you know, that's the studio doorbell, and I would answer the door, and it would just be some old friend I haven't seen for a while, and they said, hey, you know, I was just driving by and wondering if you were in here. And we got a lot of freak out factors from friends of ours that didn't even know we had like a record in process, and it was almost done. I remember one of my friends, Peter, came over and we were finished with every single thing except the lead vocal, but I had just finished all the backgrounds, and there were 9 tracks. And by the way, there's a there's a wonderful video by Rick Beato. He interviewed Brian May, and of course what they're talking about, I'm right there, I know exactly what they mean, but Brian May talked about how they sang around one microphone, 3 of them, to do one track for left, another track for center, and another another track for right. And that is, you know, that's triple tracking, and we can talk about that later. But well, you know, some of those car stereos, I'm really tired. I had a Volkswagen Wolfsburg edition that I swear, I even asked I asked an acoustician if I could turn that into a mixing room, you know, where I could somehow emulate the windshield and everything, whatever, and just fit a console in there and just sit in the bucket seat and mix a record, because it was just, you know. Anyway, and when you get a car stereo like that everything translates well, that's good, because I can't tell you how many times, oh, excuse me, I was at Fleetwood and we finished something, it's like, hey, let's go listen to the car. We burn it to a cassette real quick. Let's go listen to the car. So back then we mixed hot. See, these days, you know, you mix in a DAW, and these kiddies all the time are mixing, like, even like with the Model 12 and the Model 16 or Model 24 or the DP32, and they're always complaining, yeah, my mixes aren't loud, because they haven't mastered them. But back then, you didn't have to have a master to have them loud. I mean, I used to mix. I'd hit the 2-track machine at plus 4 dB. They would have to lower the level down to bring it into the mastering console just to give them some headroom to work on the compression. But this left, center, right LCR thing. Oh, excuse me. Brian May talked about how they had to submix things down. See, with modern DAWs, of course I'm using a console, so I'm a little bit limited. Modern DAWs, I mean, you can have, I think, 500 tracks if you wanted to. It's a lot to manage, especially with a mouse. But he was talking about how they had to sing a lot of these tracks and bounce them down. And they sometimes call those stems now, which is something that I didn't realize they were doing until I got back into recording, because stems came from the motion picture industry. You know, if you're mixing a movie like Apocalypse Now, actually the Audio Engineering Society I missed it. They had a meeting where they were going to show the mix setup for Apocalypse Now, and it was like 102 tracks or something. It's like, you know, machine guns and helicopters and bombs and guys yelling and airplanes flying over and stuff. It's like a whole bunch of mayhem. But it's all on automation, because, you know, you run 1 or 2 tracks at a time, and then you work on the relationships and edit it. But anyway, there's a guy named Dan War. He's really knowledgeable. Sometimes he comes off a little bit like he's full of himself, but that's okay. He knows his stuff, and he did a video recently on LCR mixing. which is where you have stuff panned completely, like all the way hard left and all the way hard right, nothing up the middle. And how he talked about how headphones are not actually stereo, they are binaural. Because think about it, when you got your speakers set up, okay, so I'm looking at the left speaker, and it of course is directly hitting my left ear, but do you think my right ear can't hear any of that? No, of course not. It's just taking the long way around, the same here. But those long way around delays are what help your brain to figure out the localization, that this is coming from here and that's coming from there. And it fills the stuff in on the center, because remember, you don't have a microphone in the center of your head. You just have two ears. They're incredibly well designed, because with only two, you can tell front to back, left and right, and up and down. Only two. If you cannot reproduce all those axes in 3 dimensions, it means your reproduction system, playback system, is not capable of doing it. And in order to make up for that, especially because most people don't have acoustically designed living rooms, they put a center channel under the TV, and then they'll put, like, some speakers in the back and a subwoofer, and then you get your 5.1, right? Now they got 7.1, and I saw, what did I see the other day, 9.1 or something. It's crazy. So when I mix, like if I got guitars, left and right, I always either I put reverb on them and build a room, so there's always something coming back in the opposite channel. Or I simply don't pan them hard left. I might pan them like, straight across. So if you were to solo the opposite channel, you would hear it, and it's really far down. Now, a really good example of that is AC/DC's You Shook Me, because they got the introduction, and it goes do da da. It's in G, right? Da 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 da, right? So that's not I'm not singing the right key, but so da 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 da. Anyway, so the point is, when they're doing that first guitar, it's only on one side, but you can still hear a little bit of it in the other side. Yeah, it is. As much as I enjoy photography and enjoy beauty, I enjoy, my beautiful wife, my daughter. I love it when my daughter does artwork, and she, draws things or paints things to give to me. There's no question in my mind, if I had to choose to lose between my hearing and my sight, I would have to give up my sight, because I couldn't do anything else. Sure, I could chat on the computer, and I could, do word processing and, read the news or whatever, but I could never play a musical instrument again. I could never sing again, See, I can have somebody else do the engineering. I can teach somebody. I can just tell them, here's how you set up my amp. I can just tell you the controls. I have to touch them. Set this one all the way here on the left, set the one, on 10, set this one in 6, and, like that. And just hand me my guitar, and then fine, I got it after that, right? And I could play. And I've worked with, well, there you go. That's a good way of saying it. That's it, Betty. I worked with blind musicians before, and I did not consider them handicapped. I worked with Ellis Hall, and he was, he's been blind, I think, since birth or very early age, and he was reading Braille, had the piece of paper on his chest, and he was reading the lyrics like this, and go, yep, checking lyrics, yep, that was cool. So, yeah. The other thing too is that I could still talk with people. That's the thing. Because you still, I mean, yeah, okay, I wouldn't drive. Whatever, I could still ride. And I could pay somebody to take me to the track and sit in the passenger seat. Right? But I could still tell her how I feel about her. And I could hear her talk to me and my daughter. I can still teach them. You know, I can teach my daughter important principles, right? And it would be so much more difficult if I was without my hearing. So much more difficult. I dare say it may even be impossible, or very close to it. So now, you know, you guys see me sometimes. I'm looking like this, right? Because I'm an old guy. I got bifocals, you know, basically, or trifocals, and I got the, you know, the long distance on the top, the middle, you know, the mid-range, you know, and then the close-up, right? So if I look at this, the way I'm looking now is set more for the longer range. So I can read the text, but it's a little blurry. So if I go like this, then it's clear. But I found myself working like that in the studio, and I was taking some videos showing some of the techniques that we were doing, right? Hey, Fides, fist bump. And yeah, and I was taking some videos of me doing some, you know, and I noticed I'm looking at the computer screen like this. I went and ordered some glasses. I ordered some blue blocking glasses just for computer work, just for studio work, and I got rid of the distance. You know, the distance prescription is gone. It is just, you know, like right here, what I'm looking at now is going to be right here. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. So Fides asked me, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the only thing I wouldn't do is drive with him. You know, he asked me, did I want it, you know, transitions? I go, no, I'm not taking them outside. But I'll probably end up taking them with me wherever I go. If I go someplace and to the coffee shop, my wife's busy or something, and go to the mall and I want to do some computer work because I'm sick and tired. Of course, not with a computer. I am looking down. But I did have him put the medium range and the close range in the same glasses. And the medium range is like my arm's length or a little bit away. It's perfect for the studio. That's right. I have a curved monitor and it's just right there. So, but Fides, you know, 100. I can tell you that I don't like Bose stuff, but that's just me. I bought a brand new pair of Redmi Earbud 3 Pros. They were 1,500 NT. Take care, Ken. Thank you for joining. Well, you might want to get a pair of computer glasses. And I'll tell you what. As soon as these things get here, you're going to see me. I got black frames. They're bigger too. I'm going to be wearing them when I live stream. I'm just going to be whoa. Let's put my live streaming glass on it. Go like you see guys see me going like this. You know what? You know, look at my nose. But Fides, I got these Redmi. I guess they're ProBuds 3. No, REDMI. It's a Xiaomi. It's a Xiaomi brand, right? And it was 1,500 NT is like $45. They're noise canceling. And they're not the kind that hang on the outside with the big, that look like an Oral-B toothbrush head. These guys fit in, and they fit in very nicely, and they come with 3 different sizes of the, the ear cups, I guess, what you call them, and or the plugs, and it fits in really nice. It does, and they're way better than the other ones. The other ones I used to have, I would listen to music like this because I'm always I'm catching them right and popping them back in. These don't fall out. They go in really well. They make a nice seal, and then all of a sudden, it's dark. Yeah, that's the ones. Yeah. Now, you're asking probably about fidelity and stuff. I've never heard any Apple stuff. I don't know anything about Apple. I don't have any Apple stuff. It wouldn't make any sense for me to buy Apple stuff. There are IEMs, in-ear monitors that are really expensive that have cables on them, detachable cables. There's a whole bunch of these things. Let me just tell you though, I have another pair of Xiaomi earbuds, and I don't like them. For one thing, they're always getting clogged up, and all of a sudden, I thought there was something wrong with the mix is down on this side, and I'm going like, what's going on? And I'm pushing them, and I'm trying to, get them to where it sounds like it's in the middle, because I'm really sensitive to that. And then I took some alcohol wipes, and I cleaned it, and apparently there's some earwax in there, and the grill on it, the little grill is black, and you really can't see it. So I cleaned it out. I was like, oh great, there it is. But they're open air, which means the bottom end is not there. In order to hear the bottom end, I have to push them in my ears. Then the second thing is, other people can hear that annoying when you're listening to something, right? So the only thing that I don't like about the AirDots 3 Pro is that the package is round. And the other ones I had, it was flat, so it means I could set it on the table. This one, you open the case and the bottom's round, so you have to set it on its back. And the earbuds go in really weird. Tension, then you go to put them back in, and it looks like you got to twist them all around and stuff. You'll figure it out, but it was, at first I was like, whoa, it took me a couple minutes. I figured it out by looking at the contacts and going, oh, I guess it's oriented that way, and they sit up in the case. They don't go flat down. USB-C, if you have a Redmi phone, it automatically opens a dialog to connect. But I'm going to tell you right now, the stuff that I mix in my studio that I'm intimately familiar with, I've been playing on those earbuds, and they're really, really close. I've been also playing like Def Leppard, I've been playing Boston, I've been playing a lot of other different kinds of music. I've been using them on YouTube videos, and those are very, very good sonically, in my opinion, and they're noise canceling. That's the one thing that used to bug me, because I wanted to go someplace, and some of these cafes in places in Taiwan are extremely loud, and I'd put my other earbuds in, I'm looking at my phone, I'm going, holy cow, I got this thing turned up all the way just so I can hear. I gotta stop this, I'm gonna kill my ears. So I put these things in, and what's really cool is if you have them in noise canceling mode, when you put them into the case, you take them out, they're back in noise canceling mode, but you put one in, then you put the other one in, and they get all situated, and they're like, okay, and then all of a sudden, whew, gone. It's not, completely gone, but let me tell you, it's way down. It's enough that I've been using them for earplugs with no audio connected. I've just been taking them out of the case and putting them in my ears just to get some peace and quiet. So, I don't know about olive oil for the diet. I know that some people report that NAC helps, and there are some specific supplements that people use for ears. There was a guy, a doctor, I never tried it, but he had a formula called Hearing Rescue, and he claimed that Hearing Rescue would solve tinnitus and frequency roll off and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I don't know why I didn't get it. I don't know. It's from the States. It may have been hard to get. I don't remember. Sometimes there are some supplements that I try to get, and I find them, and they don't want to ship them overseas. So I ask them questions like, "Don't want to make any money," and they're like, "It's such a hassle." I go, "Oh yeah, it's such a hassle to collect money and just ship it by UPS. What do you got to carry it? You got to give it to me in person." So, but yeah, Fides, if you can, I don't know. Xiaomi stores generally do have Yangping, like demonstration models, I'm trying to say. And so what I would do was I would just take some alcohol wipes, go to the store and just wipe these things. I think you would like them. What I like about them is they're not overly bright, because the other Xiaomi earbuds that I have, I just think it has to do with streaming music and how people are used to having it really slamming bright. I hate that. Bright mixes are terrible. And I have enough of my hearing left that I can hear, when these mixes are too bright. And some of the stuff that I would do in the studio, I would listen to it in those Xiaomi ones, the ones that look like the Oral-B tooth, got the battery hanging down, look like the toothbrush head. They're too bright. It would annoy me, and I couldn't play the music loud enough to really listen into the mix and critique, what I was hearing, because it was just so high end. There's no high-end limiter. And the way it's set up, excuse me, I don't have an equalizer that's good enough, and I don't want to get into that. Would rather have something that is flatter, natively out of the box. And so those earbuds, like the 3 Pro, they come in white and they come in a nice dark gray. I got the dark gray, and the case is dark gray, and the pods are dark gray with black tips on them, and they look really cool. And so there you go. Those are the ones that I'm using. Audio Technica, AKG. All make good stuff, but I found some AKGs one day. I think I told you this. They still had the plastic overlay on them, so I looked at them. It didn't even look like they'd been in anybody's ear. It looked like they bought them. We're going to take them out with them, and they dropped them on the right on the dirt where the plants are, right in front of where they park cars. So I think they just lost it and walked away and go, I don't know where it is. So I brought them home, and they're perfect, but they just don't have enough bottom end for me. But I gave them to Phoenix because they sound good with her computer, and she likes to listen to some of her lessons, with the earbuds. And as memory serves, okay, there may be a mic in them too. I don't remember. But these those earbuds, the 3 Pro, they have noise canceling microphones in them, and they also have communications microphones in them too, so they can take calls, and you can do stuff with them. It's not like a tremendous amount of control. If you tap them once, it stops the player. If you take them out, it stops the player. Even YouTube, if you're listening to YouTube and take one out, so it says yes, what, and you're talking like to a server, waitress, a waiter person, and then it stops, which is nice. So you can put it back in and it starts playing. And so far I haven't taken any calls with them, but I think it's 2 taps to answer and 3 taps to reject it. So Yeah, I do too. But how do you connect it up? And what's it calibrated to? So these days everything's a plug-in. I have several metering plugins that I use on my DAW. The Ulean, Youlean, that's a great overall meter. And Reaper has a JS meter on it that's configurable, but it ain't like dB these days. I mean, yeah, you could say, okay, I want my mixes between -9, -7, when they're mastered. But today, everything is LUFS, right? So it's loudness units full scale. LUFS is where everything is, and so, believe it or not, when I master stuff, I master it very loud, very aggressively. It's like -8. But for streaming stuff, I'll do -11. And there is a service called loudnesspenalty.com, loudness penalty, and you can take whatever song you've got mixed and upload it to them. They say it's not uploading, but it does. They just don't store it. And they give you what the 6 leading streaming services like Deezer and Spotify and iTunes and YouTube, what they will do to it. Will they try to raise it up? Will they leave it at Unity? And will they jack it down? And most of my mixes get pulled down by about 3 dB because they're too hot. So, oh yeah, I hear you. Fist bump, Betty. Great to see you too. Thank you so much. I have been talking for an hour straight. Took a lot out of me tonight. I got to get out of here. I got to go take a shower and hit the rack. So, seriously, you guys have a good night, and hopefully I'll be on Sunday. Sunday's my favorite night. And I haven't been coming on as much lately. But let's see. Where is she? There's the moon. Oh, yeah. The queen of the night. Oh, yeah. Looking good. You guys take care, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining. And if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, well, it's real easy to do. Just click that button. Thank you, guys. We'll see you. Bye, Betty. And everyone else will join Fides. And I know Ken's gone, but Dave's probably gone because it's super late. Guys, take care, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. All right.